Well, I'd like to say this is an unbelievable story here, but man, it's perfectly believable. I mean, ask yourself, do cops get special treatment for violent crimes? I mean, if you barricaded yourself in the house after shooting your wife and shooting at cops, do you think they'd pack up and leave and be like, we'll just check his social media, you know, make sure he's all right? That's how we're going to de escalate. Well, that's what these goofball soy cops out in Pittsburgh, California. Okay, that's what they did with this goofball cop that's barricaded himself. The headline is Barricaded police detective arrested after second Pleasant Hill standoff in 3 days. Whoa. A Pleasant Hill police officer watches from his police vehicle while parked in a gas station near the house where a woman was allegedly shot by her husband in Pleasant Hill, California on Friday, December 8th. Suspect, who is a retired Pittsburgh cop that's there in Northern California, had barricaded himself in his home. Thursday night, during a standoff with Pleasant Hill police, which ended Friday, leaving the retired cop behind with no arrest. Oh, this story, you're going to love it. Love it, love it, love it. Have a listen.
Barricaded police detective arrested after second Pleasant Hill standoff in 3 days. Pleasant Hill, the retired detective who barricaded himself inside his Pleasant Hill home after allegedly shooting his wife was taken into custody Saturday morning, authorities said, concluding a bewildering police response that included two standoffs over 3 days. The former Pittsburgh cop surrendered and was arrested shortly before 8 a.m., several hours after Pleasant Hill police said he allegedly opened fire at authorities that had been stationed outside his residence. No injuries were reported. The Central County SWAT team and crisis negotiators attempted to speak with Chunliam Seichow, a 40-year-old retired detective from the Pittsburgh Police Department, throughout the night, according to a Pleasant Hill press release. Police said around 5 a.m. that Seichow had fired numerous shots from a rifle and shotgun at nearby armored police vehicles from inside his home, located in the 200 block of Cleopatra Drive. By Saturday morning, he surrendered to an FBI SWAT team, which was summoned to relieve Central County SWAT, according to a release from Pleasant Hill Police. A shelter-in-place order was subsequently lifted for the Sherman Acres neighborhood, which was first locked down Thursday evening. Seichow is expected to be booked into a local jail on several felonies, including assault with a deadly weapon and attempted homicide on a police officer. Despite the arrest, questions are still swirling about why authorities had simply packed up and walked away after they shut down the busy neighborhood and spent hours negotiating with a retired police detective who had allegedly shot his wife, remained armed, and was posting a string of disturbed, threatening messages to social media. In a statement Saturday morning, Pleasant Hill Police acknowledged that the prolonged event caused great disruption and stoked fear for the Sherman Acres neighborhood and surrounding community. However, they asserted that officers remained in the area and continued to monitor Seichow's social media activity. De-escalation tactics, including disengagement, are routinely utilized in hope for peaceful resolutions, such as this one, the Post said. Even after disengaging with the suspect during the early morning hours of December 8th, the community's safety and security was consistently monitored and constantly assessed. The police's disconcerting actions started more than 36 hours before Seichow was ultimately arrested. On the morning of December 7th, the former cop posted a GIF of himself on the social media site X, wearing a ballistics vest with what appears to be a rifle strapped to his right side. The caption says, "Only for self-defense." By 7 p.m. Thursday, authorities arrived at the Cleopatra Drive residence, responding for a welfare check on a woman who reported to family that she had been locked out of the residence by her husband. Officers determined Seichow had barricaded himself in his Pleasant Hill home, then fired a shotgun at his wife as she attempted to gain entry through a side garage door.
Damn.
She was hospitalized with minor injuries to her lower body and is expected to recover, police said. Authorities proceeded to shut down access to the city's Sherman Acres neighborhood, as well as a section of heavily traveled Monument Boulevard in both directions near the area. By Thursday night, the Pleasant Hill Police Department replied to one of Seychow's posts, saying, "It's the police department, please answer our calls. We want to help you through this peacefully." Authorities said they also tried to reach the man through telephone and loudspeaker outside his home. However, Pleasant Hill Police lifted the shelter-in-place early Friday morning, when Lieutenant Jason Cleven announced the surprising decision to end the standoff without having taken Seychow into custody.
What?
The circumstances surrounding this event indicated the husband was not an immediate threat to the general public, he said in a statement. Later, by phone, he said that negotiators and other tactical team members who had been involved in the incident concluded that his intent was not in harming anyone in the neighborhood. That changed just before midnight Friday, when police announced they had obtained a felony warrant for Seychow after determining he posed a danger to the public. Seychow, who holds a bachelor's degree in psychology, had been sharing and deleting posts that including incoherent thoughts, some referencing World War II and the Nazi regime, others referencing his law enforcement and military career. Police again shut down the surrounding neighborhood on Friday evening, the second time in less than 24 hours. Cleven was not immediately available to answer questions about whether Seychow's status as a retired police officer had affected authorities' handling of the situation.
Duh.
Regardless, residents of the neighborhood said earlier that day that they felt abandoned and unsafe. A woman who runs a home daycare center nearby and asked not to be identified because of fear for her well-being said Friday that the police should have done more than they did, and we don't understand why they didn't do more. Staff writers Rick Hurd, Nate Gartrell, and Jason Green contributed to this.
Well, we know why they didn't intervene. And I can tell you what, living next door to a cop must be a very unnerving thing. And that's a fact. So there's absolutely nothing that is happening that you could call a cop to that they won't make the situation worse. In this case, as you can see, they just they didn't inflame the guy, but they left the neighborhood vulnerable. The one chance that they had to actually take out a criminal, they didn't do it. But luckily he didn't kill anyone. And so now he'll face the justice system, which will give him a slap on the wrist, and he'll be out in like 3 years or less. Some very low charge, I'm sure. Anyways, there's your news. Do cops get special treatment for violent crimes? I think they do.